You know, you expect some billboards, but we didn't really expect like almost like a TV flashing right outside of our window.
Well, it wasn't here when we moved in, and so after it went in, we noticed like right away. Well, first of all, our son started to complain that he couldn't sleep at night or it was waking him up in the night repeatedly because of the constant change in the display.
The biggest concern, obviously, are the light levels and the fact that these things are changing as fast as they are and they're disturbing people's sleep. It's about 500 meters away from us, but that spills into so many people. Literally, you're probably looking at that light spilling into a few hundred people's windows every single night.
Having a billboard like that here affects the enjoyment of our room. We like to look out at the city at night, but with that billboard, it's pretty much all that you see. Just a lot of noise coming in all the time. Even when the blinds are down, it's still a reality. You can see this light flashing.
I'm a professor of landscape architecture and urban design at the University of Toronto. It's a constant distraction out of the corner of your eye.
This is my bedroom, and when we sleep at night in the bed, those lights are very bright and they obviously interfere with our sleep patterns. Yes, even with these blinds, we had them installed with the builder, but they don't actually block all of the light coming into the room. It actually got so bad that we ended up having to go out and buy these lights out blockers. When we're laying in the bed, we have to position them so that the light from the signs doesn't go into our eyes, and it helps us sleep better at night.
The fact that it constantly changes is a big problem. Not so much about the signs that are stationary, but the fact that it's more than every 10 seconds is very disturbing.
And when the billboard changes from one picture to the next, the light level in my bedroom changes. So as I'm trying to drift off to sleep, I'm woken up by these billboards.
This is a visual pollution on the inhabitants.
It's just visual noise.
It makes our living space less enjoyable to have a billboard like that flashing there.
Every time I'm out on the road, I'm driving and people will cut in front of me, or I see things that I think, wow, you know, you really need to be focused on what you're doing. You can't be looking at billboards and reading what, you know, new vacation is coming up or, you know, what new television show is on.
There's no doubt that if texting and driving or stirring at your radio or looking at things in your hands, if that's going to distract a driver, this has to distract a driver. You can't miss it.
And I think that it's just a constant source of distraction for people.
You buy a property and all of a sudden, bam, you know, 100 meters away, this huge sign goes up and you have absolutely no idea that it was coming. I mean, it seriously can affect your property value and then also affect your ability to sell it again. Somebody comes in and they look at it and they're like, oh my God, look at that thing. No, thank you. And you walk out, and that would affect the city on a bottom line. When you're talking about hundreds of condominiums here or even across the city, you're talking about probably millions of dollars of loss of property value and then property taxes on top of that.
Certainly, it could definitely detract from housing prices. You could have a harder time selling your home when somebody comes in to look at your house and they see these things.
I think if somebody were looking for a condo or a house and they came in and looked out and saw a billboard like that, they might think twice about buying a property like that. So yeah, I think it definitely could affect the value of a place like this.
But when you look at these units, you see it during the day, you don't realize these types of factors. And of course, nobody would ever mention it. You know, a real estate agent has to tell you if somebody died in a house or things like this, but nobody has to tell you that you're going to have problems every night because of light pollution coming into your condo from these signs.
We did not receive any notice of a billboard like this going in behind us. We had no idea. The first clue was when we saw it go up, actually, and I remember we were eating breakfast and looking at this thing going, really? They can put that up there?
I think it's a matter of how the city reaches out to the people. Saying that you're having a consultation and putting it on the City of Toronto website, but not, for example, notifying the 8,000 residents of Liberty Village that this is actually happening, that's not really reaching out to a community.
The problem is most of these events only happen very precise, this day, these hours, And that is very hard for people who work and have families.
The terminology that the city uses to describe them as static is, quite frankly, to be kind, disingenuous. It's static for 8 seconds, and then it changes, and then it's static for 8 seconds, and then it changes, which I don't think anybody in their right mind would actually call static.
And my definition of static is something that doesn't move, something that doesn't change. I can clearly see that that is changing. I think they need to consult with us, and we need to find a better way, something in between that works for everybody.
As you can see, we have these ones outside here. There's another one over there. There's 2 more over there, 3 more over there. And really all anybody wants is just to have a really decent, open and honest conversation about this and hopefully come to a decent compromise, which right now, the proposed sign bylaw is just not going to do that.
You know, I think people think, what's the harm in a billboard? And they need to stop and consider, it will affect your home. It will affect the light in your home. My message would be, take this seriously. We don't really need advertising blasting through our windows at night.
Really, it's the inhabitants who are suffering every day constantly from this.
It's certainly not something I enjoy having in my neighborhood, and it doesn't endear the advertiser at all to me.
This billboard is well over 300 meters away, and it's having a big impact. I can't imagine if it were any closer than it is right now.
Now talking about expanding this, well, we should be removing them where they put them now.
Well, other people should care about this issue because the proposed changes to the sign bylaw are applicable across the entire city of Toronto, not just in a neighborhood like this. But wherever you are, if you're near a corridor that these signs, these proposed signs, are allowed, this is going to affect you. The path forward is to have an open and honest discussion between the city, its residents, and the billboard industry.
Is our city not here fundamentally to serve us as residents, to make this a safe, happy, productive place to live? Or is it here as just a money-generating vehicle and we're secondary?
No, I wouldn't want that in anyone's residential neighborhood, and certainly not in our own.
Right now, what the city is proposing isn't what we would consider to be a responsible compromise.